Is Viv Murray here? No? Brian Mariner. Good morning.
Morning.
Did you used to go around schools?
Sorry?
Did you used to go around bicycles? No.
No.
You're not the Brian Mariner.
No, I'm not.
We had
Two right ears.
we had Mr. Mariner who used to come round and no, sorry.
Did you want to show some photos, Mr. Mariner?
I sent some through electronically.
Yes.
So, good morning, Mayor and Councillors. Thank you for the opportunity to make my request to the Council. I ask the Council to protect the South Shore suburb from inundation from the potential high tide flooding from the estuary. My wife and I have lived in the South Shore suburb for 37 years. This is our home and our community. Here we've brought up a family and with all council consents have extended our home 3 times. Since the earthquakes, the demolition of the red zone houses along the estuary front has seriously weakened the protection of the land and homes as the demolition work lowered the level of the land. The estuary edge is now in a neglected and a degraded state. My request is simply for a levee or a berm to be developed along the estuary front, as is recommended by the OCEL report, which you have seen, I believe. This will provide both some protection for the estuary edge, which is being eroded by the southerly winds and waves at high tide. It will also provide protection for the 500 homes of residents and the roads and infrastructure which the council has invested in over the years. Such a levee or a berm will also provide an elevated, in fact a very exciting elevated walkway and cycleway for all citizens of Christchurch to use and enjoy, especially to enable people to observe the bird life of the estuary, for example the godwits, and thereby cause no disturbance to the birds. You will know that the South Shore Residents Association commissioned the OCEL report and has subsequently carried out a survey of residents. 98.5% of respondents approved the design by the OCEL report author Gary Tier, coastal engineer. He estimated the cost of the berm along the South Shore estuary shoreline on a metre equivalency basis to be about 1/3 of the cost paid for the Beachfield Road Redcliffe seawall. The red zone area adjacent to the estuary front is a valuable grassed area for residents and visitors, presently enjoyed by many citywide walking groups. It needs to be protected from erosion. This proposed berm will do just that, as well as give protection to the residents and their properties. I understand the council has a responsibility to protect all its citizens, so please give immediate consideration to this urgent need of the residents of one suburb. Thanks.
Thank you. The land, the proposal was to build it on the red zone land, isn't it?
I believe it's actually, it would be built on council land, which I think there's a paper road that goes the wall all the way down, and that would be on the estuary side, obviously, of the red zone land. But I mean, it would be wherever it's going to be most feasible, I would think.
I thought it was actually on the land, so that it simply looked as like a mound, you know.
There's a tiny berm there at the moment, which the reports basically discount. It was just a very interim arrangement. The idea that Gary Tier has put forward is a much more substantial berm that would provide more protection.
Which is why I thought it came onto the red zone land. The reason that I'm saying this is that we can't proceed with any work on the red zone area without the regeneration planning work having been undertaken. But look, just to give you a sense of reassurance of where we're up to, the Regenerate Christchurch have got a South Shore, South Brighton regeneration strategic approach or strategy on their work program. the South Brighton component of it, which is north of Bridge Street, probably south of Bridge Street as well, but particularly north of Bridge Street, there's an interconnection, of course, also with the estuary environment as well, which has an estuary coastal planning arrangement attached as well. But the council is taking responsibility for the regeneration planning in the South Brighton area, because it's not red zoned, but it is connected to red zone further to the north. And of course there is a connection, and that being the estuary, with South Shore, which is why Council and Regenerate Christchurch are working very collaboratively together. But at some point we need to absolutely engage the community in a conversation about what it is that will be done. So, and there are two different processes. So Regenerate Christchurch will lead at South Shore, but Christchurch City Council will lead in South Brighton. They're hugely challenging issues, but we're very aware of this project, and I know that Regenerate Christchurch have received a presentation on it as well.
I'll just make the point, please, that the where I live at Godwit Street, the end of the rock wall that was built to protect Estuary Road, the ebb tide road, the extension, that actually ends just before Godwit Street, and so there's a funnel where the water will come in there, and that could be quite devastating for South Shore should there be a very severe inundation one day, because that would be the weakest point of the spit, and the water came through there. Yep. So thanks very much.
There is a considerable amount of work to do, and I'm very aware of it. But thank you very much for your submission.
Thank you very much.
Much appreciated.